Are very, very lucky. I travel around the country. We're in 29 states. Nobody else does this. This is badass. So, Karen, this is awesome. I wish we had this back there in Colorado. So, just again, real quick, hands that has never had left-hand beer before. All right, who's never? Keep your hands up. And then people have never heard of us. Put your hands up. Put your hands down. Okay, right on. That's cool. Right on. So we've been around 16 years. Who has been, this is our third beer school in the last 2 years. Who has been, a show of hands, that has been to either of the other two? Nice. Right on, right on. So now here's another question. I love to ask questions. So, homebrewers in the room? Okay. You are not allowed to ask any questions. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Absolutely. Feel free to stop me at any time. Ask me any question you guys want. I'll be more than happy to help you. Answer anything I can. So, we've been around 16 years. We're based in Longmont, Colorado. Okay, once again, who knows where Longmont is? Okay, that's a little bit. Who's been to Colorado before? All right, we need you all now to come to Longmont next time you come, okay? We're about 10 minutes outside of Boulder, Colorado. We're named after an Indian chief that reached for his mother with his left hand. They wintered in the Boulder Valley, so no, you don't have to be left-handed to work at the brewery. I have a lot of people that come up to me at Beer Fest and they're shaking my left hand. I was like, I've never heard that one before. So anyway, so the first beer you guys are actually going to be tasting today is our Polestar Pilsner. So Pilsners, thanks to a little brewery here in town, is one of the best-selling beers in the world. That light yellow, but do not be confused about what this is. We actually designed and brewed this beer because we wanted to show people what Pilsners are supposed to be like. No slights, it's okay. They do their great thing and we do our thing. So I understand that beers are being passed around. So Pilsners, let me ask you guys this. Who's a huge Pilsner fan in the room? And you know what? The interesting thing about that is, if you looked around the room, there's not a lot of people that. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to look back here too. I feel like this foreboding look behind me, but there wasn't a lot of room. There wasn't a lot of people that raised their hands. Now let me ask you this. And this I'm going to actually slight. Who is an IPA fan? Okay, so this is where I'm going to piss you off right here. Usually when I ask people, I say, what's your favorite style? And they tell me IPAs. My first thing, I'm sorry guys, is I say rookie. And the reason why I say that is because I think as you start growing, a lot of people say, oh, I don't like Pilsners, they're light, there's not a lot going on, I love IPAs. Don't get me wrong, we make 3 of them, okay? But I think a lot of times when you start understanding styles, you start going back, a lot of people, you start graduating to sours, you start graduating back to Pilsners, you can start appreciating a lot of those. If you ask any of our brewers back at the brewery, the hardest beer we make is this beer right here. The reason why is because there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide. We actually lager this for about 6 weeks. We use basically Pilsner malt, 2-row, and then we're using Sterling hop, and that's really it. Yeast and water. It's a very, very simple beer. It's going to open up. Not everybody has the beer yet, but while we're waiting, Mike, can you help me pass out? Anybody, so without the homebrewers in the room, who has seen hops, played with hops before? Bunch of you guys, great. So I've got a couple different ingredients today we're gonna pass around. I've got hops, I've got malt, I've got milk sugar. Still, everybody does that here. So I'm gonna pass some of these around. Pass this one down this way. I'm gonna come halfway down. What I want you guys to do, if you've seen hops before, it looks like rabbit food. It really does. What you're going to do is, what I want you to do is, and if you can, try to keep maybe like little piles on your leg, if you will, if you want to. But actually, I've got 3 different hops. This first is Sterling hop. What you want to do is you really want to break this up, break it up into a nice little powder, if you will. Smell it. Be careful you don't inhale it. And you're going to be blowing through your nose the next couple hours. But actually smell that, and then when you're tasting that beer, see if you can do that. So the reason why I ask, if you can keep 3 little piles on your leg, you're going to try 3 different hops today, and you're going to see completely different things. So Polestar Pilsner, when you look at it, Have you guys all thought about like how to look at beer? Now you're drinking in a plastic glass. The first thing you want to do when you taste beer is you want to actually raise it and look at it. It's a little hard in the plastic glass. Take a look at the head. Is it clear? Is it cloudy? What does it look like? Then the next thing you want to do is swirl it because you want to agitate the flavors in that beer. Then you're going to actually smell it. Not get it all the way in. Just 2 quick sniffs is that's all you need to do. And then you taste it. Resist the urge to just throw it down. Let it kind of meander on your palate. Is it sweet? How's the carbonation levels like? And then swallow it and see if, what are you tasting? You guys know the tongue, you've got salty, sweet, you've got all those different flavors on your tongue, right? So taste those and see what you think. Polestar Pilsner should open up. You've got that little breadiness going on the front side. Then you've got the hops towards the back. What a Pilsner should be, the Pilsner should be nice and long and dry. That's what that beer should be. This is 5.5% alcohol. It's a really well done, in our opinion, once again, our opinion, we feel like it's the hardest beer we make. So a little magazine, Men's Journal, anybody ever heard of that? They rated this as the best lager in America last year. So we're pretty psyched about it. We feel like this style is slowly coming back. So questions, comments, what do you guys think? Be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hops you have some nice little malty balance to it. It's not like overly hot, but it's not like anything like that.
So say that again, I'm sorry?
It's very balanced. It's not like,
Yeah.
It's hot, it's not more hot than sweet filter, but it's a little bit of malt so we can get down stuff really well.
So what he was saying is very well balanced, and that's exactly what we're shooting for. There should be beer is like where wine has one leg to stand on. If anybody's ever read Sam Calzioni from Dogfish and his books, he says that wine has one leg to stand on. That's the grape. Where beer is a lot more complex in so many different ways that it's got malt and hops. There should be this dance back and forth, and in this particular beer, it has that. So, further questions, comments? Thank you.
What was the second hop?
Sterling's the primary one. We use Magnum in this. That's just one right now. Yeah, that's the primary one. I've got 2 other hops from the other beers we're going to taste, and I'll pass those around. So
you guys, the question I have, and raise your hand so I can see, do you like this beer enough that I should carry it all the time in bottles? Yeah. Get it on tap in the stomach.
go ahead.
Hey guys.
I just want to tell you a real quick story I had about the Polestar Pilsner that has always stuck with me. On one of my trips to the brewery, I was able to spend a day with our master brewer, Ro Gunzel, who's in Kansas City right now, visiting some accounts. And we were up on the scaffolding, and we were brewing Polestar Pilsner that day. And he was really getting worked up into a frenzy and actually sweating more than usual. And I asked him after.
What the heck was that? I didn't do anything.
And so we're up in the scaffolding, he's running back and forth, looking at the dials, looking at his watch, just getting all agitated. And finally I broke down and asked him, I said, Ro, what's going on? And I'll never forget this. He told me, he goes, I've really got to watch this boil because if I don't stop this at exactly the right moment, this one molecule is going to break off and go join these other 2. And if that happens, and then he goes into this molecular thing that was there in my head, and I'm just, okay, whatever. But that's the focus that goes into this beer, that he's thinking about molecules when he's brewing this. The focus, and that just blew me away. That was amazing that he had that kind of a focus on this beer. So it really gave me a lot more appreciation for the complexity that goes into building this. Just want to share that.
Very nice. I like it a lot.
So Polestar, who knows what Polestar is? I will, before I open that question, it is not another name for an exotic dancer. So anybody know what Polestar is? That is correct. So our little tagline for this beer is guiding you to better beer. Current Northern Star. Ah, okay. That I don't know. Okay, there you are. So we are actually, if you have seen our packaging, and as we get to some of these newer ones, we'll pass them out. For you fans that have been around and know our beers, you will start seeing new labels from us over the course of the year. So how we do it, we got Sawtooth being passed out, correct? Oh, we're there. Excellent. I need to catch up. So finish that too. Excellent. Okay, so Sawtooth. For those people that have been in Colorado, Indian Peaks Wilderness, you can see right from the brewery, there's actually Sawtooth Peak. It's about 11,000 foot peak. It looks just like a sawtooth. So Dick and Eric are the two founders of the brewery. They both went to the Air Force Academy. They graduated. It's weird because you look at them now, they've got long hair and beards, and everybody's like a bunch of hippies. And that really pisses Eric off, so if you see him, I call him a hippie, it's great. But they graduated at the Air Force Academy. They kind of took off in their own separate directions. They came back to Colorado, and Dick, in his time off, basically got a homebrew kit from his sister and started homebrewing. So Sawtooth was the very first beer that he started brewing. So we've been around 16 years. Sawtooth has actually been around for about 18. It was the very first beer that we brewed. It's still our flagship today. Our two beers that are flagships is this, and it's the ESB, and the other one's a stout. That's really weird for a craft brewer to say that the two flagships are an ESB and a stout. Most people's flagships today are a pale ale or an IPA. So it's kind of an interesting deal for us. So Sawtooth, when we first entered it in the GABF, the Great American Beer Fest, quick show of hands, who's been to GABF? Oh, you guys are missing it. Wow. There is 25,000 people over 3 days. It's out of control. If you guys can ever make it, I suggest you do one thing before you die. Whatever that list is, one of them has got to be go to the Great American Beer Fest. It's amazing. I mean, there are, what, like 4,000 beers on the floor? 1,400 brewers. It's pretty amazing. So Sawtooth is considered an ESB. So everybody knows what an ESB is, right? Go ahead. So the question, some people said they don't know what an ESB is. And we purposely, if you look at our labels, we don't call it an ESB. If I'm talking to a beer geek, and I use that affectionately, because I am one, we call it, it's an extra special bitter. But for some crazy reason, people freak out on the word bitter, but they love IPAs. So it's really this kind of weird dynamic. If I have somebody coming from the domestic side of the business, or the domestic side, and they're drinking those beers and they want to get in, the first two beers I usually direct people towards are either ESBs or browns because they're very approachable. But what's the first beer that people usually go and try when they get into craft? An IPA. Absolute worst category they can go in. I think that is you have to eventually get up to that. And I think a lot of reason why people say they don't like beer, they don't like craft beer, is because they go there, they don't like it, and then they go back and like, oh, that is just way too bitter for me. Anybody, and I'm kind of showing my age here, but remember the bitter beer face commercials? I was pretty badass. I was always wondering like kind of what the IBUs on that one was. 12. Ooh. So this beer, we entered into GABF the first year. We won a gold medal. That was 94 right off the bat. We were pretty psyched. 2 years later, it was right around when the hop craze kind of started in 96. And we didn't change the recipe, didn't change our brew house, and all of a sudden, we got the judging notes back from the judges, and it was out of style, out of style. We're like, what are you talking about? We just won a gold 2 years ago. So here it is, 16 years later. Last year, we actually won another medal for this beer back at the GABF. So I'd like to know, I'd love to see a history of who has won medals in a 15-year gap for the same beer, so we're pretty psyched. Small little newspaper, probably doesn't mean anything out here, but New York Times? Anyone read that? So last April, they do basically, once a quarter, they pick a style to go after, and they do a blind taste test from beers around the world. Sawtooth was rated as the #1 bitter in the world by the New York Times. We're pretty psyched about it. Another brewery, I won't even mention the other one that placed #2, but they actually created the style. So we felt pretty psyched about that. So Sawtooth is going to open up incredibly nutty, earthy. You're going to have that almost like, I always think about when we're brewing this beer at the brewery, it always seems to me like warm cereal. You ever had warm cereal? It's got that really nice nuttiness to it. But then once again, talking about the beer back and forth, how hops and malt play off each other, oh my gosh. These two, you got that hops that really kind of swirling towards the end. So this is right around 5% alcohol. Once again, it's not big. It's a great sessionable beer. Last night we had this crazy dinner with O'Fallon. It was insane. So Dressel's, hopefully I'm not saying anything. Dressel Pub, we had beer dinner over there. It was awesome last night. And we had 3 of the 5 courses were rabid. It was out of control. You guys must have a rabbit problem here in St. Louis. Do you? You do? Okay, that's just wrong. But this course last night was insane. It was, help me out, Mike, it was arugula Mizuna, and it had Colby, shredded Colby, and it had, it was bruschetta, and then, it was Gouda. It had all these crazy flavors going on. So, what's that? I know, I'm sorry. It was badass, but one beer that could have really stepped up to that was Sawtooth. So, Mike, can you help me out? I know I'm a little behind. Can you help me pass out some malt? So I've got Cascade hops here. So if you've kept your little piles, do the same thing. There's Cascades. And then I've got malt, 2C malt. So eat it. I really recommend, unless you have braces, don't eat it. Because it will take your braces off. But this is, I'm gonna take some malt and chew on it. If you've had like grape nut cereal, this is exactly what it is. So, hey Derek, can you help me out? You guys? When I pass those out, I think I'm a little behind. Thank you. So questions on Sawtooth? Comments, thoughts, Sawtooth, anyone?
So what do you guys think of Sawtooth? Woo! Like? The family likes it? All right.
What's that? Hey Mike, do me a favor. Can you grab me some more cups and so I get those out? Are we on Monkey now? You guys got Monkey? Jeez, I need to shut up.
Hey you guys, before Chris starts up again, I know he hates this and I think that's why I do it, because he's so awesome. This is Bill Reichart. Bill's the founder of Missouri Beverage. Good. Anyway, it's because of Bill that we have so many of these wonderful beers in Missouri. So, right on, thanks.
I got a little story about Bill I got to tell you guys, and I'm gonna cue him up a little bit here just to give him a little bit of props. So I don't know what you guys all do for a living, but when we came to the state 2 years ago, and Karen did tell me I can slap anyone that's talking.
I did.
She did. I signed a little, yeah, I signed it. But Bill actually, he's the president of a major company that does wine, spirits, and beer. He took off the entire week, and when we came in, and drove me here to Columbia, to Springfield, to Kansas City. How many other presidents of companies are going to do that? So,
One to care.
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so everybody got 400-pound monkey?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where, once again, I'm going to piss you off, because this beer is very, very polarizing. Who thinks hops are just citrus and grapefruit? Excellent answer. They're not supposed to be, though. A lot of people think that hops, if you smell this beer, you're going to think, oh my gosh, there's not a lot of hops going on. If you think hops are only citrus and cascadey and grapefruity, they're just not that deal. So we came out with it. We decided, after talking to hearing a lot of beer schools and talking to a lot of people, we're like, you know what? I love American style IPAs, but gosh, isn't there something else? I want to know more. So my counterpart at the brewery, our brewmaster, he is Italian. Once again, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but he gets pretty hot sometimes. And he got really, really upset. We're talking about hops, and he just goes, "Any monkey can throw 400 pounds of hops in a kettle." And I kind of threw it in the back of my mind. I was like, if we ever do an IPA, we're going to call it 400-pound monkey. So we actually, there was an article. Anybody subscribe to Beer Advocate? The plans? So there was an article in October of 2007. If you keep your issues, go back and find it. It was the extreme beer issue. And there was an article called "These Extreme Beers Are Extremely Boring," and that quote was taken out of context and thrown in the little white section on the side of the article. We got a lot of people calling us, "Oh, what the hell are you thinking? Are you calling me out?" We're like, whoa, hold on, time out. We honestly feel like it is harder to make a very well-balanced Pilsner, that you guys just had, than it is to make an Imperial Stout or a double IPA. You can hide, and you might disagree with me, but you can hide an inferior beer behind a lot of hops, a lot of candy sugar. So be careful when you start going that. There's also a lot of extracts, a lot of things you can go on there. So, 400 Pound Monkey is an English style IPA. We're using 3 different hops in that. 2 of them are relatively new. We're using Magnum, which a lot of people know, Sovereign, which a lot of people don't know, and then Boadicea. Boadicea is a brand new hop. One farmer in Northeast London's grown it. It's being touted as one of the world's first 8-bid, which is low bud resistant hops out there. It is very earthy, strong, herbal. There's a lot of hops going on in that beer. That beer is about 6.8%, by the way. It's up there. It's definitely masked the alcohol on the backside of that, but it's got that great nose to it. But those hops, if you drink IPAs and you love IPAs, biggest thing you can do is let that beer warm up, because that beer will change. Do not drink that cold off the tap. Let it warm up. So I will. I'll hand out our new packaging. This is one I'm going to just read on the side, and you can infer what you will of it. Why does the world need another IPA? Because this one ain't like them others. We use hops of a different color, earthy and herbal, well balanced by Bernie malt. The result, an English-style IPA that separates itself from the ubiquitous bunch. And then you can read into this next line. Cartloads of bitter monkeys flinging wasteful amounts of bananas into the jungle. We're so done with that. So, and I will say, all of our new logos have, artwork has people, either the artist or somebody from the brewery's face hidden within the label. Because we know what you guys all do when you sit at home. So, and we love that. So, it's going to be bingo. Who can find the face?
Excellent.
So, questions, comments on that? Do you disagree with me? Come on up. Tell me if you disagree with the hop question.
So IPA lovers, tell me.
Come on, people. Call me out.
Roger, and you're not a big IPA guy.
Package will be here in 2 weeks. So here's the question. Here's a lot of things that I say. Like, we're going out doing calls at accounts and bars. What we'll do is, like, we'll come up to Karen and say, why do you need, and I know this isn't you, but why do you need Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, all the same? They're 3 light American lagers. We do the same thing. We say, why do you need American IPA, American IPA, American IPA? Why don't you do American IPA, English IPA, and double IPA? So it just gives you some breadth of difference. So if you think this is an American style IPA and you drink it, you're like, oh, 400 Pound Monkey, that's going to be a huge double IPA, you're going to be a little embarrassed. That's all I'm saying. Ours isn't any less carbonated. The question was, why are English styles less carbonated? Are you saying like the 400 Pound Monkey you just had? As far as carbonation level, we carbonate that the same as any of our other beers. So it's the exact same thing, but you might be thinking, I'm not saying you are, but you might be thinking that it's based on the hops and based on the aroma, and that is, I can tell you exactly in terms of volumes of CO2 that we carbonate, it's the exact same as milk stout and everything else, and salted. But there is cask. How many people drink cask beer?
We just did a cast class.
You just did a cask class. Awesome. You have beer engines?
No.
Okay. So cask beer is great. That is definitely less carbonated.
Right.
So real quick, and I'll switch to milk stout, but I will tell you just one last thing about 400 Pound Monkey. So I'm from the South. Anybody else from the South? Yeah. Right on. So I'm a sweet tea drinker. Always have been. Sorry, I grew up with it. You know, with a little bottle. I'm sorry. All right. So if you order, I'll have to go there from you. If you guys order unsweet tea, you go to, hey, give me a tea, and you're in South Carolina, right? And they bring sweet tea to you, and you drink it, what's the first thing you're going to do? Oh, God, that's horrible. I don't like it. Same thing. If you drink this beer thinking it's an American-style IPA that's going to be big grapefruit, you're going to immediately in your mind, you're going to say, that's not what I want. It's not hot enough. But if you come into it saying it's a different style, it's a little bit fun. So, anybody, did you guys find the face? So she made the first round. You got to find the face. You guys are really quiet. I don't know if my bald head's like blinding people, so. Did you guys all get the malt? Did anybody eat it? All right, did you get the Boadicea hops? So you've got 3 hops now. You didn't get it yet? Cascade. The Cascade. So if you go back, if you've got the 3 and you've kept them, you can see there's 3 totally different hop varieties there. If I put 5 pounds of Boadicea in front of you on a table, and I put like Simcoe or Cascade or Centennial a pound across the room, you'd be able to smell those other ones before you smell the Boadicea. So once again, not all hops are created equal, and not one is better than the other. So it's kind of like wine. Any wine drinkers in the room? Varietals, man. They're all over the board. We as a craft beer industry don't talk about hops as much as we should, other than bitter, bitter, bitter. We should talk about flavors and ranges and earthiness and citrusy. They're all different. It just depends on what you're looking for. So we're getting there. Milk stout coming, right? Question for it, yeah. Blight monkey never tells. So here is the reason why. I'll answer the question, but the question was, what are the IBUs? Everybody know what IBUs are? Everybody know what IBUs? So somebody asked us, what's that? International, that's wrong. So once again, going back to Joe Schiraldi, our head brewmaster, he's like, why are we telling everybody about IBUs? Because the first thing a lot of beer geeks do, 60 IBUs, that's not going to be good enough. One of the questions I asked when somebody asked me that, I asked them perceived or real.
Right.
And there's a huge difference. Because a lot of people, I can tell you right now, we have a lab, we work with, like Mike was saying, we test, I can tell you all the calories on our beers. Trust me, you don't want to know. You really don't want to know. I can tell you the IBUs. I can tell you a lot of things about our beer. But there's also a lot of breweries, when we were smaller, and a lot of breweries do this, thank you, they will base a recipe, they'll base their IBUs on a formula. When you go and actually test it in a lab, those numbers can vary different. So people say, oh, your palate, based on who you're talking with, can only taste about 50 to 60. Some people will tell you 40. People that are throwing, I can do 180 IBUs, that sort of stuff, bullshit. There's no way your palate can taste past that. We do a lot of big IPAs, double IPAs, and those things. So we basically went out, our kind of philosophy on the IBUs for Corn and Pound Monkey was, we're not telling anybody until they drink it.
I think it's very good, and I don't like, I typically don't like it.
It's 60 IBUs. It's right in that line, but we don't, the reason why is because I think a lot of people, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, a lot of people are going to read the label based on the ABV and the IBU and judge the beer before they even taste it. And we're so done with that. Once again, going back to that label, we're so done with that. Drink the beer, judge it. Who cares what the ABV and the IBU is, right? Can I have an amen? All right. So, milk stout. Who's had milk stout before? Excellent. So, guess what's changing this year? Besides the label, we are starting, everything that's coming in, starting in 2 weeks, is going nitro. Nitro is delish. So, Mike, if you want to, it is so pretty. So now I've got chocolate malt. I'm going to pass around some chocolate malt. You guys have crystal malt. The only difference is they're both barley. The difference is based on how they're roasted, how they're kilned, right? So this is darker. A lot of people, when they think chocolate malt, oh, there's chocolate in it. There's no chocolate in it. It's just roast. So, and then I've also got, I always wait when I go to airports to say, Mr. Leonard, can you come over here for a minute? Yes, this is not cocaine, but this is milk sugar. Who has seen milk sugar before? I would recommend you guys pour a little in your hand and taste it. It is finer than the table sugar than you can get it at the grocery store, and it's not as sweet as you think. But yeast, that lovely thing that turns wort into alcohol, can care less about this sugar. It is non-fermentable. It doesn't eat it. So consider milk sugar in your beers like cream in your coffee. So this actually we have 10 different malts in this beer. It kind of mellows out the roastiness. I call this a couple different things. Carbonated alcoholic chocolate milk for adults, or alcoholic latte for short. It's just shy, it's 5.9% alcohol. If you really want to treat at the end of the day, get some coffee ice cream, pour this over it. It is the bomb. It is the bomb. So a lot of people will ask, so Guinness drinkers, any serious hardcore Guinness drinkers in the room? Excellent. Guinness is definitely one of the originators, but there is a huge difference between Guinness and milk stout. Guinness is a dry stout. This is a sweet stout. Once again, it uses this little bit of white stuff in it. Guinness is, I believe, if I do the conversion right, I think it's what, 4.2, 4.3 alcohol. This is 5.9, so it's bigger. Guinness is actually a it's a lighter bodied stout than what milk stout is. Milk stout is very, very full bodied. It's rich. It's got that creaminess. Wait till you guys taste it on Nitro. It is unbelievable. So two last things. There's two. Oh, question for you. In draft? Why so?
No, just average.
Well, it's in our bottles. We're not buying the little widget. Guinness actually owns that. We're not going to do that. So it'll be regular in bottles, but non-nitro. I mean, right now we've decided, with Mobev to go completely nitro. But if you guys are like, hey, because honestly they're two totally different beers. And if Karen wants to do both, we have some accounts that pour CO2 and nitro right next to each other. So if that's something you guys do, talk to Karen. We can bring that in for you guys. It's regular CO2. Nitrogen is so nitro. Basically, what nitrogen in the beer is, when you're taking a beer, for instance, it's in what's called a bright tank. What you're doing is you're force carbonating with CO2. That's what gets it bubbly, if you will, right? Just like soft drinks or anything else. What you're doing is, instead of entering the full amount of CO2, and you're still entering CO2, but we have what's called a nitrogenator that basically strips the CO2 out of the beer and it adds nitrogen to it, so it makes it creamier. So if you've ever seen a Guinness poured, you've got that cascading effect. It's kind of like when you guys were talking cask last week. Cask makes the beer creamier, so does nitro. So to me, it's like you've got, what's the best way to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. I would just say, if you like milk stout, imagine it creamier.
Right.
It smooths it out. Smooths it out. Question, any other questions on milk stout or anything else?
You guys love the milk stout, or what do you think? All right, I got a question for you.
All right, she's got a question.
Is this the place right over here?
That it is.
Ooh.
Nice. All right, so two last things, and then I'll shut up and we'll ask one question. So we had a couple seasonals. I'll show you some new packaging. Fade to Black. Did anybody have Fade to Black from us last year? All right. Any? What'd you guys think?
Loved it.
So, any Metallica fans in the room? Even though I'm bald, I'm a huge mullet head right here. So yeah, rock on, 80s, woohoo! So Fade to Black. This was a winter seasonal for us. This came out in October. It comes out every single year. This is an example of the new packaging we got. I'll pass this around. I guarantee you that nobody's going to find the face on this one. I'm throwing the gauntlet down. All right. She gets first shot. So, real quickly on Fade to Black. Fade to Black is, no, not that one. That is one of them. It's the artist's faces I'm looking for, but that's pretty good. So Fade to Black, we didn't want to call a winter beer, winter snow, Christmas, holiday, blah, blah, blah. So it was all designed around the time of the year, from basically October to March, in terms of when it gets dark. So somebody asked me, they said, so is that a Metallica song? And any cyclists in the room? Any roadies in the room? So I do my best thinking on the bike. I put my headphones on, and Metallica came up. We're thinking about a name for this beer, and Fade to Black. It's number 4 song on Ride the Lightning. But it's also at the end of every play. It's the last line that says Fade to Black. But I kind of, I'm kind of waiting. We actually did a kickoff in Grand Rapids at a place called the Hopcat. I don't know if everybody's been to the Hopcat. Great bar, amazing bar. Right on. I went to the Metallica show afterwards, and somebody's like, "Are you afraid about being sued by Metallica?" And I'm like, "If they sue me, great." Excellent. And if they don't, I mean, honestly, it had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the time of the year. And then, so if you can find the face, and then we have a new seasonal that's just rolling. It's called Good Juju. Now, this face is very easy to see in this one. This is a great light summertime beer. It's 4.5% alcohol. It's a pale ale that we use organic ginger root in. I'm pretty sure you can see the face on this one. So this one's coming soon. And then last but not least, Juju, great question. The question is, why don't you have Juju Ginger? Juju Ginger, so here's the question. So it's the same beer, but we've switched it back to a seasonal. It started out as a seasonal years ago, and we've switched it back. And the reason why is because if you love ginger, you don't think there's enough ginger in it. If you hate ginger, you think it's too much. So from the government perspective, they made us put beer brewed with ginger, but also the other reason is there's a lot of breweries out there like Sprecher that are doing soft drinks. So they think when it says ginger ale, people didn't know whether it's a soft drink or a beer, so that's why we rebranded a Good Juju. You used to be able to get it in 4-packs, now it's in 6-packs. So that's the only difference. We just figured there's a lot of people confused. Like, is it a soft drink? I don't know what it is. So, no more in the bombers, just 6-packs. You want to address that?
It's going to be line price with the no stop.
$9.99.
6-pack wise. So it'll be like $9.99 or something.
Right.
No one in my neighborhood pays $10 for a 6-pack.
But let me ask you this. So she's basically saying nobody in her neighborhood is going to buy, $10 for a 6-pack. Do they buy 4.50 lattes at Starbucks? And if they do, then you say, "Shut the fuck up." There's no kids in here, is there? We just had sexual harassment training the other day, and I'm so much in trouble right now.
Oh, you're fine, but no.
Excellent.
It's good for the ratings.
Yeah, so you have to be the spotter.
How many people took notes?
That's what I was trying to do today.
That's the broken.
Emancipator? Oh, yeah, you were out of that.
Yeah, it's not ready yet.
Oh, that's too bad. Hey, it's pretty neat. See, I like the small breweries even better than the Bruins because it really, I'm going to be able to brew about 20, 25 gallons at a time, which is fair size, especially if I have to drink it all myself.
Oh yeah. So this we do our canning we do right here. We set this up and we can it.
Canning?
Yeah, we do 2 at a time. We can a Pilsner.
Oh.
We can only put the cans on 1 at a time. There's our 6-packer. We do it all. It's all hand to can right here.
Oh, yeah. Well, canned beer, I keep reading. It's, a lot of people think it has to be in a bottle, but canned beer is fine.
Yeah, it's almost even better.
Yeah, maybe
lots
better.
of reasons, yeah.
Well, it might last better because
It
it's
lasts
a good
better.
seal.
It's a canned. Light degrades light beer.
Yeah, so in a can, it's better. It's better in a can, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty neat, little canning machine.
So yeah, this is our
Pretty
small
neat.
little operation.
Pretty neat, yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, got a few pictures to take home. Yeah, this is the Ukiah Brewery.
Ukiah Brewing Company.
Huh?
Ukiah Brewing Company.
What do you call it? Sai?
Ukiah Brewing
Oh,
Company.
Ukiah Brewing Company, yeah.
That's us.
At the Rogue Brewery. And this is the way to the restaurant. You have to weave your way through the fermenters. I'm gonna go up.
Yep. Just the way it goes.
All right.
This is a view of the Rogue Brewery, and the fellow on the computer is monitoring the beer. And I'll go in here so I can take it down. This is also in Rogue. Little lab. Well, here we are. Oops. Yeah, we're just entering the winery now and heading upstairs. Beautiful interior. Tasting room upstairs, elevator access. Yeah. Where are you? Valley View Winery, and we just had a wine tasting, all very good. And these are all the oak barrels they're conditioning their wine in, and we go down here and see the rest of it. Oh, over here, there's all the big tanks.
They're not working too much today.
No, the bottling line is not moving.
Right.
Okay, well, this is the, what'd you say it was? The Valley View Winery in Napa Valley. And this is Sebastiani Winery. There's Linda over there. Been here years and years ago. It's all changed.
I may have to have
is inside Sebastiani. We're at the Lagunitas Brewery. And they got the bar set up in there. And then a lot of outdoor eating space. We're getting ready to go on the tour, so we'll be doing that in a few minutes. Hi.
First time on the tour. Well, I would hope not to drink a lot of Guinness. But yeah, first time on the tour. Yeah. Alright, cool. My name is Brian, as I said, and I've been doing this for a couple like weeks now. So if you're heckling to a member, appreciate it. And despite being in the midst of $9.5 million expansion deal, we have the world's oldest and most awful CD player. So we'll see what we end up playing. Voice Boys, 80s rap. That guy. What a descriptor. These guys right here are 500 each. What's up? Those are ready for kegging. Those just hold our IPA because that's what goes out the most. That's one that is consumed the most. And I will tell you guys a little bit about the dog.
Yeah,
I had a question about the dog earlier. Yeah. Everyone always asks whose dog is it? The dog. Actually, everyone would think that it's Tony's dog.
It's your dog.
It's not my dog. It is not anyone's dog, actually. When Tony started back in the day, he had no idea that it was going to get to the level that it has gotten to this point. Multi-million. What's up, man? Multi-million-dollar company. We have 100 employees, so everyone knows that. But so when he was starting back in the day, Ron, our marketing guy, said you got to go with the logo. So what he did is he found a piece of clip art on his computer that was a cool looking dog. So you go into we use dry hops. We have 40 different kinds that go into our IPA. The 3-stage hop process. First is our flavoring hops. Second is our bitter hops, and then in the last 10 minutes we throw in our aroma hops. And most other breweries pasteurize their beer. We do not pasteurize because it ends up ruining a lot of the flavor, a lot of the aroma, and a lot of the taste. Yes. When you age your beer for a couple years in the fridge, you'll see the yeast slowly starting to fill the bottle. Yeah. Yeah, you have to.
Can you guys move over? We got a forklift coming.
If you look right behind me, actually, these are the wet hops. That's what hops look like. Often people compare it to weed because it is the second cousin. There are some beers that we serve just over here in our tap room that are wet hops, like pure hops that come right off the vine. But for a brewery of this scale and the amount of beer that we put out, we have to use dry hops. But they're just as good. Did everybody hear me all right? Yeah. So some things to point out before we head upstairs. If you look right behind you, these tall cylindrical things, that's where we dump the hops in, fill it with hot water, and then shoot it into our fermenters. And this big guy at the end here, The story behind that is there was a lot of our beer, a good portion of the beer that we serve now is a result of employee mistakes. So there will be a messed up batch of beer. Someone came and hung over or whatever. Someone messed up a batch of beer. And so what happened one time was there's Ryan's Folly, yeah. And this one actually, there was a messed up batch of beer, and they had 5 or 6 employees go around to every deli, market, and grocery store in Petaluma and buy Petaluma out of brown sugar to throw into that guy. Where we throw 250 pounds of brown sugar for every batch of brown sugar that we make. It's real sweet. We unfortunately just got tapped. We don't have it anymore. It's a seasonal through February, January. Brown sugar. Sugar. Yeah. No longer. But when we do brew it, that's where we throw all the brown sugar. Let's head upstairs. I'll tell you guys a little bit about our system.
Got that shit up there.
Smell was hot.
I know, right? Nothing wrong. Somebody they got it over
Get cozy, guys. We got a lot of people up here. We got a bunch of It's hot up here.
This is the mash tun, you said?
This is the mash tun, yeah.
It's always moving like that on. So stirring is always working.
Yeah.
I got it right there now.
Get in there.
Am I right?
Oh, they keep it stirring.
Yeah, they keep it stirring all the time, they said.
Yeah.
It's always moving.
So this is where all
Even temperature probably.
To use an MTV Cribs analogy, this is where the magic happens. It starts over here. If you look in that window, whenever it's operating, you can see that the grain is moving through there that comes from our silos outside. And to once again go with the Cribs analogy, what's happening in the grain silo right there is like throwing on some Marvin Gaye, D'Angelo mixtape that you got, throwing some rose petals on the bed, throwing some candles on, light it up, making it real sexy. What's going on in that silo is we're coaxing the grain open. We are coaxing it to spread itself. We're not trying to smash it, just asking the grain to spread. From there it goes into our mash tun, and then we get it drunk. In our mash tun, that's where we make sugar water. Just soak all the grain in water for a while, make sugar water. Send it over here. Right here, this guy's our lauter tun. And the lauter tun is essentially a giant coffee filter. Takes all the mash out.
We follow the golden rule. Over the city, head out west. San Francisco sure is here.
People that came out here to make beer were either Belgium or in Germany. They had a preference for making lager beers. When we make a lager beer, you have to make these hot fermentable sugars. We call that wort. And we make that wort over there on the brew floor. That wort gets to about 250 degrees. And then you have to cool it down to about 30, 40 for primary fermentation. That's what people are talking about when they say the lagering process. It's that really cool fermentation. The problem with San Francisco in 1896 is that there's no refrigeration. There's no ice. You can have it shipped in, but it's not cost effective. There's no real way to get those temperatures down to where they need to be. So these guys had to get creative. And what they did was they invented these things that we call cool ships. They were these shallow vessels about this deep. They were about the size of this room. They put them on top of the roofs. They would pump the wort up there at night, and they would let the cold air come in and cool that wort down. That's actually where we get the name steam. A lot of people ask us, is it a style of beer, is it a type of beer? Steam's actually a nickname. It's a nickname for beer brewed under primitive conditions, specifically to San Francisco and the Bay Area. There's no reason to make this beer anywhere else in the country. The East gets cold, the South gets cold. San Francisco is very unique with what's going on at that time and with the people that are coming in and the temperatures that we get. People would say that they walk past these breweries at night and see that cold air settling and then see hot wort rising. To them it looked like
Steam.
To them it looked like
Steam.
So, then it looked like steam. We started moving along. We're one of about 30 breweries that are making this traditional San Francisco steam beer. We get to 1906, and from 1906 until the mid-60s, it is really just unfortunate events for the brewery. Ernst, the guy on top, he randomly dies. Nobody knows why, nobody knows what of. Coming to work one day, he's not here, and then we figure out that he's dead. Also, later that year, Otto falls off of a light rail car on his way into work. It throws him forward, and then it runs him over. I don't have a light rail saying that. But that's okay, we start moving along. And then what's up?
He dies.
He dies as well, yes. He was run over by a car, and then he died. And then we get to 1906. We're still in 1906. We get to the worst part of 1906. It's the Great Earthquake. We'll follow the Great Earthquake.
Fire?
There you go. Fires follow the Great Earthquake. And they burned down our original brewery, which is right there below Otto. That was on modern day Pacific and Hyde. We rebuild. We start moving along again. We get to 1920. 1920 is the worst year in my story. Why?
Prohibition.
I always think it's really funny, not to make fun of you guys, that when I get to Great...
Are you going to get into the history of this building at all on the tour?
This,
What it was before it was a brewery?
not really. This building was built in 1930. It was one of the original of its kind in that it was built to withstand earthquakes. They said during the '89 earthquake that none of these moved, and the next time there's an earthquake in town, you better pray that you're in this building. It was originally the Chase and Sanborn Coffee Roastery. San Francisco used to be a very industrial city. So once they left, Fritz moved in, gutted it, and then moved the brewery in. Yeah. I can't tell you a story though. I do know this one. There's a reason that this label's upside down. It's because during the '89 earthquake, they shut off electricity to the city. It was the electricity that cut the gas, and the gas that started the fire, and that did more damage during '06 than the earthquake actually did. Potrero Hill, which is where we are, the Sunset and the Richmond, which are the furthest west districts, get electricity back first. They turn on the brew kettle, and they realize that they had left a brew in there when the electricity was turned off. They taste it, and they think, you know, it tastes fine. It's not exactly what we want, but it's not bad. Let's send it on, and we're going to go through the whole process. And they kept it separate from everything else. And then they bottled it, and when they bottled it, they flipped the labels to say that the earthquake did it, and then shipped it out. Got to our distributors, and they called us, and they're like, all your labels are wrong, we're going to send this back. I'm like, no, it's okay, send it out. And then we got to the stores, and all the stores called us, and like, all your labels are wrong, we're going to send this back. Like, no, it's okay, send it out. And then when it got out, we sent out a press release that said that was in there during the earthquake. We'll never make it again, we can't make it the same way. Here you go. And there was only a small run of it. So this was in '89, there's no Craigslist or anything at that time. They said you would open the Chronicle and you would see pictures of the bottle, somebody's name and a number and a price. And people were trying to buy the little bit that they could. Yeah, but that's like the closest story I can get to explaining the building. I know that's what you asked. So. Any other questions? Yes.
You're dry hopping.
Yes.
When do you put the dry hops in?
Downstairs in the cellar, and when we get there, I'll try to find you a hot bag and shove it
Okay,
back out.
okay.
All right, let's move along. That guy you just saw walk around the corner is also named Kevin. Can I get a round of applause for Kevin? Kevin was on the early shift this morning, which means he got here at 5. He's going to stay until around 3. The second shift comes in at around 2, and they're going to stay until around midnight. We brew Monday through Friday from 5 to midnight. We don't brew on the weekends unless we absolutely have to. When he got here, he started the process by weighing 5,000 pounds of malt on top of the roof. And then he would send it behind this wall. Behind this wall is a mill. It's going to crack the husk on the malt and then send it over to the mash tun. In the mash tun, we're introducing the malt to really hot water. We start at 120 degrees. And we're going to hold it there for a period of time. And then we're going to raise it in steps and hold it in each step. We call that process step conversion. The reason that we do that is because you guys have to remember that no beer is actually made on this floor. Only wort. Wort is what they used to pump on top of their roofs. The whole purpose of this floor is to take the enzymes inside the malt and have them convert their starches into sugars, because sugar is what the yeast will eat later to create beer. This is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then we send it over there to the Lautner tun. The Lautner tun is basically a glorified coffee filter. It has a false bottom. We take the wort that we're making and we run it over that false bottom. It's going to separate the liquid from the malt. As the liquid runs through the malt, it's going to extract more and more sugar. And then we're going to send it to the grand spice, then on over here to the brew kettle. What we're doing in the Lautner tun is we're getting something that we call our gravity. Gravity is a ratio. It's the ratio of the amount of sugar to water inside that solution. And our gravity directly correlates to how much alcohol will be in the beer later. When we're done in the Lautner tun, we have all this malt left over and nothing to really do with it. So we send it to a tank. We're going to mix it with hops and mix it with yeast that gets pulled out of the process later. And we donate it to a farmer. And he feeds his pigs and his cattle with it. When it gets over here to the brew kettle, we're bringing it to a vigorous boil. And then we're throwing in the hops. We throw it in right at the beginning, and that's for bitterness and aroma. Most of that aroma will escape in the stack, so we throw it again once in the middle, and then once again right at the end. And at the end, that's strictly for aroma. And then it goes on to primary fermentation. Any questions? All right, I think there's anything that's traditional, and you can see that in the copper kettles behind us. It used to be believed that copper ions added a fuller body to your beer, and that's originally why you would use copper. Modern science has proven that that's not true. So companies switch to stainless steel because it's cheaper. We like the way copper conducts heat. But when companies switch to stainless steel, they would still put copper sheets inside their brew kettle so that when it boiled, it would rub against the copper. We got these from a brewery that closed in Hamburg, Germany in the 1950s. Each of these kettles will hold about 100 barrels. A barrel's about 31 gallons. Quick math quiz. How many gallons is one of those? 3,100. There you go. About 3,100 gallons. For some more perspective, we bottle about 320 barrels a day. We make about 90,000 barrels a year. Sierra makes about 500,000. Sam Adams makes about 2 million. And by noon today, Anheuser-Busch will have thrown away about 90,000 barrels. Any questions? Wow. So we're going to go on to primary fermentation. If you have a camera, they do have to go away until we get back on this one. Follow me.
This is the Firestone Walker Brewery in Paso Robles.
Sorry. Did everybody get one?
Yeah, what beer is this?
Double.
The double?
DBA.
DBA.
So what you guys are drinking? That's like that one's rude. Ladies first. So we'll come back over here. We'll talk about these. What you guys are drinking is our unfiltered DBA. It's 100% oak fermented beer. So it comes straight out of these barrels and goes basically into a tank, and then it So this right here is what makes Firestone so unique and unusual. This is our port and union barrel system. So we use this for primary fermentation. We're one of 2 breweries in the entire world to use this. We're the only one in the United States. So your Pale 31, DBA, and Walker's Reserve, all of those beers have a portion of beer that has seen oak for fermentation, and then it's blended back in with tank fermented beer. These barrels are specially made for Firestone Walker. They're made from 100% wide grain American oak. So we use wide grain, whereas wineries use tight grain, which is for aging. We use the wide grain because the beer's only in here for about a week. We need that wide grain for more extraction over that short period of time. So every Wednesday, these are emptied. Every Thursday, they're filled back up with actively fermenting wort. Before they go to fill them back up again, they'll remove the very oldest barrel and then put a brand new one on. So it keeps our oak influence consistent. So there's on average about 30 to 40 barrels in the union. So that gives each barrel around 30 to 40 weeks of life. After that, they get sold for like sour beers or get made into planters. There's not a whole lot else for them to be done. So we can't give them to a winery or anything like that. These buckets right here are how we know actually fermentation's going. You guys can look in, some of them are actually bubbling. So these respire like we do. They give off carbon dioxide, but we have to have a way for it to escape. Otherwise it will blow up either our barrels or our tanks. So they run tubes out of the barrels, they run them out of the tanks also. They run them into water, so it allows CO2 to escape, but it also makes sure oxygen isn't getting back up into the barrel and ruining our beer. So when these haven't been cleaned or they're in the middle of fermentation, they look very gross. But today they're good. So, do you guys have any questions about the barrels?
Where the barrels come from? I mean, where they're made.
Where they made? Yeah. I don't know exactly where World Cooperage is. These, the wood that they use comes from Wisconsin and Michigan. That's where the forests are, so probably close to there, I would assume. I guess. Oh, they don't have to travel too far.
I think that the barrel place is in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but
there's a couple American cooperages. I just know that World Cooperage makes ours.
What percentage of the beer is from these barrels versus the big
Versus tank ferment? What do you mean?
tank fermented? Sorry.
So DBA has about 20% oak fermented beer. Pale 31 has closer to like 10 to 15. Walker's Reserve has about 30 to 40.
Oh, okay.
They're not used for making wine first and then.
No, they wouldn't use these because they wouldn't taste good. So we don't utilize winery barrels and they don't use ours. So also you'll notice, I don't know if you're familiar with what wine barrels look like, but these actually have the heads pushed out on them, so they give us an extra 5 gallons per barrel. So, wineries do use American oak, but they don't use the wide grain. They only use tight grain. Otherwise, we'd have like a really crazy oaky flavored wine. It probably wouldn't taste too good. So like I said, this is fermentation, not aging, but we do have barrel-aged beers. We make Abacus, which is on tap in the tasting room today. That's our barley wine, and that's aged for about a year. We make Parabola, which is a Russian Imperial Stout, and that's aged for 3 years. And we age those in Kentucky bourbon barrels. They come straight from Tennessee with whiskey dregs still in them. So they make for excellent beers. We got you down to try Abacus sometime. So, like I said, we had the 3 parts to the brew house. There was brewing, fermentation, the third is packaging, and the first step of that is right behind you guys.
So when do you make the Mission?
What's that?
When do you make Mission beer that you sell to Trader
Mission,
Joe's?
they make it just like the same time as
Same
everything
same
else.
brewers?
Yeah, it's
okay.
on there. This is a really efficient piece of machinery. It's German made and it only takes 1 person to run. So the way that this works is the empty keg will go here onto this conveyor belt. And you'll see on the back side there's a series of plungers. this one is going to do something different. It sparkles and sanitizes and rinses and that kind of stuff. The last thing it's going to do is
Would you hold my glass for a
refill the
second?
pipe back up. Comes around on the conveyor belt out. So this line.
This is one of the brewers.
I'm from Seattle, and I'm getting ready to start brewing again after 20 years, so I'm learning everything I can about it. Oh, I know. I like the Piney the Elder.
Oh, thanks.
I heard it. I listen to Beer Pod, so and I like it.
A lot of people like it.
I tasted the Belgians, but I'm not a Belgian drinker. You know, I'm a hoppy. I grow my own hops up there. I got Mount Hood hops, just going crazy in my backyard.
Where is this?
Seattle.
Oh, right.
Well, south of Seattle, Federal Way between Seattle and Tacoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're the brewer.
One of them, yeah.
God, brewing is some. You know what I like best about brewing? The smell. I love the smell of malt and hops, and I like the hops. But I'm gonna try to wet hop some of my beers. I love the smell.
Oh yeah, just fresh without drying them.
I know. I pick them. I said they're so expensive because I have to hand pick them anyway.
Right, yeah.
It takes a long time to pick a pound of hops.
Oh yeah, it does. But yeah, they do some of those kind of beers around. We've done it here like several years ago, where we go pick a whole bunch.
Yeah, so you get fresh hops.
Straight over here and brew with them.
Yeah, but you got to do it, I think, within 3 days when they're fresh like that.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do it like as soon as possible.
But if you pick them, if you put them in the freezer, they should stay quite a while, shouldn't they?
You can do that. I've never really put the wet hops though in there because then you have a lot of moisture in there.
You
still,
do.
Without them being dry. So
But then it all freezes, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not. Well, I'll let you know. I'm wondering myself because I got hops from 3 years back, and I'm kind of like, I wonder if I should use those or not. You know. But I think it'd still be good for bittering, but for the aromas, I think the fresher they are, the better.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Well, nice little brewery here. Love your beer, by the way. I watch the iPods, you know. Well,
like Brewing Network kind of.
The brewing. Oh, there's all kinds of beer pods on, you know. And I some of them are pretty awful, and some are kind of educational. And but not all of them. Some of them are just a bunch of guys drinking beer and farting and not really very educational. Well, nice little brewery. Yeah, it's not huge, but one of the beers. We were just down last night. We were down at the Firestone Walker, and I've liked those beers. I've liked those beers. I says, hey, they make really good beers. But then I found a beer at Trader Joe's. It's called Mission Street. Oh yeah.
Can we see?
Sure.
I'll do a little.
Now be careful of your fingers, because the lens is up by your finger. The Mission Street.
I gotta get back out there.
Okay, hey, thanks for the tour. I mean, and thanks for.
Let him peek, yeah.
I always love to talk to the brewers. Yeah. So do you guys now? You dry hop your beer? You dry hop your beer?
Yeah, we dry hop. Right in the tops of the
Right at
tanks.
the first fermentation or the.
Yeah, after it's done fermenting.
You throw it on
let
there.
It sit for a while, then we get the yeast out, and then we start the dry hopping.
Good. And your name is?
Angie. Angie.
Tansy.
Angie.
Angie. You know, the first thing that goes is your hearing.
Yeah.
Oh, and where are you from?
Here.
What's
San Jose,
your
Big
what's
Sky.
what's your nationality?
Oh, I'm Hispanic.
Oh, Hispanic. Okay, I couldn't tell because I went to the Philippines and you could
I get that a lot.
you could pass for that too.
I know, I get that a lot.
And but I had a good. I went to South Mindanao, and so I was wondering if you're Hispanic or. Sometimes we don't know what we are. I have an Irish name, but I don't really know.
Yeah,
It's all
so,
my
that's,
mixture.
That's true.
I could be part Jewish. Okay, thanks for that little tour.
How'd you do?
Good. Caught a brewer back there.
Yeah, we caught a brewer.
You can hardly ever catch a brewer, right? And so we got the Piney the Elder. And so what do you think of the beer here, Linda?
It's good beer. But this is the best one I had so far.
Turning it off.
Okay, bye. They do have a room over here, because I asked this kid if we had.
So here we are at the Bear Republic Brewing Company. Draft's beer list. And we're in Heidelberg, Healdsburg, California. Healdsburg, California. We're trying the sampler here. And back in there are the chillers, the fermenters. And this is the bar. What did he say his name was? Ryan?
Ryan, yeah.
Ryan is the bartender. And then hey Ryan, do they give beer tours here?
We do give beer tours on Saturday morning.
Oh, okay. This isn't Saturday morning, but I'll do my own little tour. How are you today? Hey, I love your mustache there. It took a while, huh?
18 years, yeah.
Looks like they're brewing. There's the brew kettle, the mash tun, and and how do you like the beer this morning? Your breakfast beer?
Oh, it's afternoon beer.
Oh, afternoon beer. Okay.
He does 3,100 gallons of beer at a time, which is perfect. It yields about 90 barrels, and these big tanks are 180 barrels, so 2 brews and you fill up the tank. As you know, the brewing process is actually going to start right outside. That's where we're going to have our grain, grain silos.
The barley.
All the barley's out there. Hits a button from the controls, and all that grain is actually sucked out into the milling room, and it's all cracked. And then sent right back out, mixed with water, hot water, and then it's sent to the mash tun. The first one's the mash tun, and that's where all our specialty grains, are going to go in as well. After being in there for about 2 hours, it's going to move over to the water tun, drain everything out, move the wort over to our boil kettle, which is all the way in the back, and then sparge. That's where everything's, sparging, grain's all going to be sparged, all the rest is going to get pulled out. Move everything over to the boil kettle, start boiling. So we're all going to add our hops, as well as, we do our hazelnut extract, our hazelnut brown nectar.
Bittering hops.
Bittering hops at the beginning, aroma hops at the end.
Yep.
We get all our hops from the Pacific Northwest. We actually have our own hop and barley farm.
I saw that.
Our hop farm is in Independence, and our barley farm is in the Thai Valley, south of Mount Hood.
What do you call? What kind of hops do you grow in your hop?
We actually have our own brands of hops that we kind of developed. It's our Dare hops, our Risk hops.
Because I'm growing Mount Hood hops behind my house.
That's awesome.
And they just go crazy, you know.
So yeah, it's about a 200-acre hop farm that we have. We also have a bed and breakfast out there. We have a tasting room.
I saw that, and I got a beer paper when I was down in California.
Okay.
We visited the breweries down there.
Nice.
All of them. About all of them.
Wow, that's
Well,
awesome.
not all of them.
Not as many as we could drink
We
beer.
got into the one in San Francisco,
Okay.
Anchor.
Anchor Steam. They're interesting because they mostly lager their beers.
And since 1889 was the beginning. I mean, you know, they were not.
I mean, they're the first. They were the company that started the craft brewing revolution.
Yeah.
Like in 65.
Well, the guy there said their beer was good for a while, and then everybody didn't like it anymore because they weren't keeping things clean.
Yeah.
They said cleanliness was not even secondary consideration.
Yeah. And then Fritz Maytag bought it.
Fritz bought it, and then he just sold out about it about a year or so
Yeah, no, he
ago.
sold out. He sold out to the guys that started Sky Vodka, or like were the guys, the company that like.
They're a vodka company?
No, they actually were the ones. They didn't start Sky Vodka. They were the ones that marketed Sky Vodka.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so after everything's boiled and we add all our hops, if we need to add our other ingredients like our chocolate for our chocolate stout, hazelnut extract for our hazelnut brown nectar, it's going to boil for anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours, and then we're going to move it down to the whirlpool. The whirlpool actually separates everything out.
Separates the stuff out.
It gets it all. It's
Gets
the only
it
thing we
pretty
have left
clear.
is our wort. Then we pump it into one of these big tanks.
So you don't actually have to filter it then. You just spin it out. Really.
Yeah, we just spin it.
That's all.
It just spins it around and separates it out, and everything falls down into the middle, so we can scoop it all out. It's perfect for us.
You pasteurize your beer then, or bottle condition?
No, we don't bottle condition either.
But you don't pasteurize.
No, we don't pasteurize as well. No pasteurization, no additives, no preservatives, nothing. All natural. It's all natural beer. So this go into these tanks right here. They're 180 barrels. Put in perspective how much 180 barrels actually is. If you were going to drink a 6-pack a night, it would take you 26 and a half years to finish it.
I don't think I'd make it.
I would. So we mainly do ales. We do some, wheat beers. We do lagers. We do a couple Belgians every once in a while. We mainly do ales, and for those we use our proprietary yeast, which is called Pac-Man.
No,
Pac-Man.
Where do you get that?
We got it developed over at Oregon State.
Oh, and then,
but
you keep it here, and you have microbiologists and stuff here to.
We don't actually have them here. We need more coal. We got to the point where we just pull it, and you can continue to have new cultures of it. So from one thing, and then we have enough that lasts. We don't usually have to go get some more.
So if you get some bad taste or something, then you just say, okay.
Yeah, we only use our yeast up to about the 6th generation.
Yeah.
And then we never use it again.
Yeah, it starts to develop other things. Yeah.
So we mainly do ales. It'll take about 7 to 9 days. If it's one of our regular ales, lagers, close to 30 days, and
now this is the fermentation.
I'm sorry?
You ferment it for 7 to some days?
7 to 9 days.
7 to 9 to ferment it, right?
Yeah.
And at what temperature is that?
About 70, 75.
Okay.
Anywhere between 68 and 75 degrees.
Yeah, 68. Yeah.
Lagering, we're going to do anywhere from about 45 to 55.
And you have the, what is it? You cool it with a glycol or something?
The glycol that runs through it. So they're all sealed.
We do it 40, 45 degrees.
Between 45 and 55.
Oh, okay.
And then our excesses will stay, and they stay in the tank for about 30 days. And then our excesses, anywhere from 30 to 45. Those are all our imperials. Once they check them, pull them, get what they want. What we're actually going to do is we're going to do a couple things, because that whole time, these big blue barrels, they're the blow-off valves.
Oh, yeah,
water
right.
at the bottom, so because there's so much in it, it has to blow off.
Right.
So what we're actually going to do is there's no
blow the
more
CO2 off.
in it. We're actually going to gas the tanks. We're going to force carbonate everything.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to connect CO2 to the tanks, or if we're doing our Shakespeare spout with nitrous, like Guinness is usually poured, we're going to connect that and we're going to force carbonate it. That's after we're going to do, if we decide to filter, we're going to filter it first, which I'll show you a filtering machine. And if not, and then they send it back to brighten and settle and then gas again.
But you don't filter all your beers. There's some of them if you decide you want a real clear beer.
Exactly. So
I don't think it needs to be filtered. I like the good stuff.
Exactly. So that's the brewing process. I can take you to the bottom.
Now, do you dry hop your beers?
Some of them, not all of them.
You wet hop any since you have your own?
We have a wet hop beer that we do every October. Because you can only do it at harvest season.
Yes, I know. You have to do it within 2 days or 3 days.
We do it the same day we harvest.
Yeah.
We harvest. We have someone.
So you throw that on the when it's
into the boil kettle.
Oh, into the boil.
Into the boil kettle.
About like 5 minutes before or something like that, or 5 or 10.
I'm not sure when they during what timing.
Some people put it on after it's fermented. They put it on after they take the yeast out, then they put it on the top of the fermenters.
We use it. I mean, we do it in the boil kettle.
Okay.
So we throw it. The boil kettle's ready to go. We drive from Independence, where we get all our hops. We have a whole truckload of them, and we actually do 3 separate batches because we need to do so much of it. We actually do 3 separate batches, then blend them together. But we drive and we have time so that we get here, and right when we get here, we can unload and drop into the boil kettle.
Basically, are all the batches basically the same thing, and then you blend them together and then put them in the fermenter?
Only for the wet hop.
Oh, for the wet hop. Okay.
The rest of them are all separate, and they do it like.
Yeah. Okay. Separate. You keep them separate. Okay.
We don't need to blend anything else. Just the wet hop we have to do.
Yeah.
Because it's when you come in and do it, and get them, so we blend them together. So.
Okay.
Wonderful. Let's go to the bottling line. I'll show you where that's
okay. Yeah, I don't have to build a bottling line.
No.
I'm going to do about 20, 25 gallons at a time. And that's more than I can probably drink myself, so I'll have a lot of friends. But I'm an engineer, so the fun part's building the brewery.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I wish I could do that. Build my own system.
What's that?
I said I wish I could build my own system that elaborate.
Yep. Well, it's all going to be, my dad built a crusher. He was a machinist. So I, get the sprouted barley, crush it myself, go through the whole process, basically like you guys do, except smaller batches.
Of course. It's kind of a funny thing. A lot of breweries are very complicated in how they keep track of what's in the tanks, and they have full logbooks hanging on. We use duct tape.
Hey,
it's in there. Original Play-Doh. Just down here when it went in, what generation of the yeast, what the Play-Doh got down to, and just notes for the brewers and what they're going to do.
Now, some of the terms I've sort of lost contact with in 20 years. The IBUs, I know the bitterness ratio, and I pretty well figured that out, know. And but now you have the DG. That's
Dead Guy.
Oh, that's Dead Guy brew.
Is.
Okay, so you know what's in that fermenter. And then the Play-Doh.
That's how much fermentable sugar's in there.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you measure it's like 5.1.
That's the final Play-Doh. That's where.
That's the final.
Yeah. So this is the difference between.
Now to get the alcohol content, you have to multiply that by 1.35 or.
It's a more complicated process than that. I'm not sure. It's just how much sugar's eaten up.
Yeah, how much sugar. I know it's basically gives you the alcohol content. Because I noticed you don't put the alcohol content on your bottles particularly. Well, I didn't see it.
No, for the most part we don't.
Yeah, you put all this information on.
So.
Okay, so now let's see if there's anything else I don't understand here. No, I guess I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Good idea, the duct tape. I'll probably use that myself. See, I gain different information. How are you doing? Good. How are you today? Oh, very good.
This is our bottling line. The first thing though, this is our filtration unit.
Okay.
Basically think of it as a big coffee filter. Instead of paper, we actually use diatomite, which is a mineral that we found gives us the clarity we want out of our beer. So we actually just filter it through until we get to where we want it to be. Like I said, behind me, this is our bottling line. We started out hand capping everything, just like you would in home brewing, but we were just doing it on a bigger level, hand capping. We then switched to a 1964 Pepsi bottling line, which when we got it was 30 years old. Made to do soda, made to do 12-ounce bottles. We started out doing 22-ounce bottles. Caused a lot of problems. Brew bottles, broke bottles, it didn't fill bottles.
The nice thing about soda bottles, they'll actually take more pressure than the beer bottle.
Yeah, so it caused some problems for us. So, you know, we still used them, and eventually we got big enough where we said we need to get something new. It's just too ridiculous. So we invested in this. It's an Italian-made bottling line. Basically what it's going to do, bottles are going to go on the conveyor belt. They're going to get flipped upside down and immediately sanitized. They're going to get flipped right back side up and filled and capped, so nothing can get into.
What do you sanitize them with?
Sanitizing solution.
Just like
yeah,
I saw, you know.
Yeah, you know, basically they're doing what you would do on a home brewing level, a lot bigger. So make sure it goes in, clears everything out.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many different sanitizers. I'm not sure the exact recipe they're using. After it's capped, it's going to get sent out and check for low fills. Make sure nothing's not filled all the way. You always want the consumer to get as much as possible. If it needs to get labeled, it's going to go through the label machine on the far side. Most of our bottles are actually silk screen, so it doesn't really need to be labeled. But our 12 ounces are all labeled, so it'll be labeled. And then it's going to be sent down the line, and everything's going to be hand packed by hand. The bottlers, they can do about 44 22-ounce bottles in a minute. Closer to 120 12-ounce bottles. The all-time record is 83,000 12-ounce bottles in an 8-hour shift, which comes out to about 175, 180 bottles a minute.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
Head over to the warehouse.
Okay.
This is our newest warehouse. We put this in about 2 years ago as we need to continue to grow. This is mainly where we're going to store our empties, the ones that are going to be filled. You can tell because the flaps are down on them.
Okay.
You also notice that we do a lot of dead guy. We're at about 55% of our production is dead guy.
There's a lot of people like the Dead Guy.
It's our flagship beer. It's
Yeah.
what made us.
Well, I have friends that swear by it.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit kind of over the top for me.
Yeah.
I like a hoppy beer, but not necessarily the Dead Guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Dead Guy, but
yeah. So we're
now
down-
are you aging beer in those
Yes, we
in
are.
the cage?
Not these ones. These ones are empty.
Those are
we have
empties.
we actually have 2 distilleries.
It is a qual.
No,
No,
distillery
not
not in
that.
Issaquah. We have
Okay.
Down
we have
here.
a brewery down there. We actually
Okay.
have one across the parking lot
The
where we do
distill-
our whiskeys and our gins.
So now you do the mashing for them and stuff, and then they distill it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what we do. We do all that over here. Put it in the tanks and let it go, and then we bring it over and distill it. We also do 3 different types of rum in Portland.
I guess that's
really?
a good way to get rid of beer you don't like the taste of. You could distill it.
Exactly.
It's
No.
alcohol's alcohol,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So you know, we actually realized there were some similarities between the liquor we made and the beers we made. We make a Dead Guy whiskey, which is actually made from the wort of the Dead Guy.
Ah.
And then sent over,
Yeah.
fermented with distiller's yeast And then
So the because the yeast makes a difference.
yeah, exactly.
What you use.
And then just
Now, what kind of yeast did you say you used again? Was
our main for the spirits?
Yeah.
Distilling yeast.
And
Distiller's
yeah,
yeast.
because of higher alcohol.
Exactly.
But for your beer, you said you used
It's Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, yeah.
That's their own brand.
Their band.
Yeah,
Do you sell it or?
We do not.
Okay.
You can actually get a replica from Y Yeast
Yeah, Hood River, or wherever they are.
Yeah, they make a replica of Pac-Man.
Of Pac-Man.
I don't remember the number. It's like Y Yeast 012 something.
Yeah.
You can look
They'll
it
know.
up. You can look it up on our website for
Yeah.
sure. We have it.
Yeah.
And then so we realized there was some similarities. We have a Dead Guy whiskey. We have Dead Guy. We have a hazelnut brown. We make a hazelnut rum, and then we make a juniper pale ale. Juniper berries are the main ingredient for most gins. Ours is actually spruce, but it was just kind of similarity. So we had the barrels. We took Dead Guy, put them in Dead Guy barrels, put the hazelnut brown nectar, put them in the hazelnut rum barrels. Gin's not usually aged, but we did take some gin, our spruce gin, and put it in a couple of our barrels, and then put the juniper pale ale in it, and that's where our John John series was born. It's a huge seller right now. Everyone loves it. It's really interesting, really fun. Picks up a lot of the flavor of the liquor in it.
But that's a beer.
It's a beer,
Okay.
yes. It's just
What are your
Asian.
favorite beers to drink, personally?
From here?
Yeah.
Old Crustacean.
Okay, you like you like the heavy duty stuff.
I like big beers. The Russian Imperial Stout.
The only reason I
Brutal Bitter.
drink the lighter is just so you can
Mogul.
drink more of
Yeah,
it.
of course.
And still drive home.
Exactly. Well, I live right down the street from the Bay Pub across, so I just walk.
You can walk. you can always walk.
That's
well, almost, yeah.
Exactly.
That's good.
Because we went to a brewery in California, and we were just staying less than a mile away, but we drove there.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing we weren't
It
very
was
far away.
Lagunitas. They have that's a good time. I mean, they got a big tasting area, all shaded, big long tables. So you saw parties of people coming in.
Really?
But, we wanted to take the tour. But the tour, one of these few tours you go on where they give you the beer first. And then say, be real careful. Well, we'd already had bought 2 samplers, and we didn't buy any food yet.
Yeah.
And
we
then,
did today here, though.
yeah, we did. We had,
ate a little
because we learned our lesson.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then they gave us like 7 different tastings of 4 ounce each.
Wow.
Normally we take tastings and we share them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and then we went back by then. We says, well, we still want something to eat, so we ordered something to eat, and then we had to have more beer when we ate.
Of course.
Well, I was really glad I was only like a block and a well, it was less than a mile.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have been able to get home,
Far away from there, I'll
for
tell
sure.
you.
But it was fun.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not the after.
They make
effects
good
on
beer.
me.
One of my favorite beers now for you guys. I was buying it from Trader Joe's, and I really liked it. It was the Mission IPA. And the reason I liked it,
They probably don't have Trader Joe's.
No.
I know, but you could smell the hops. I don't know if they wet hop it, dry hop it, or what, but they really gave it a bouquet, which is really nice. And but then I found out it was made at Firestone Walker. Well, I like their beers.
Yeah.
They make a good beer.
Yeah, they do.
They make
Yeah.
the Mission.
They
For Trader
And they
Joe's.
make Jumping Cow for Trader
And Jumping
Joe's,
Cows,
which has
we
been
didn't
around
know.
Forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we got that.
But they're a good brewery. I
Yeah.
mean, they got some. I
California,
mean, they're
10
good
years.
beer makers there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right to the left of me, this is where all our specialty grains are stored, because you don't need them in as much as you're going to need the barley. So we have the pallets of specialty grains, roasted, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Over there.
For the darker beers and that, I'll probably just use plain barley for mine.
This is our kegging machine. It's a process called racking. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to flip one keg upside down, like this.
Okay.
And you're going to connect a Sankey head to it, and it's going to clean it. At the same time, another keg is going to be on the pallet, getting filled. It takes about 2.5 minutes to do, to
No.
clean a keg and fill a keg.
No, clean that with the same ISO type cleaner that you use in the bottles?
Yes.
You clean it. I'd probably wash it out first and
Yeah, we
then
clear
spray it
and
with the
then spray it
ISO
and
and
just
then,
go,
yeah.
Do you make that cleaner here?
No, we
No, you buy it. It's pretty.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really reasonable.
So and that's what cleans it. It fills it. Do that for 8 hours a day. Guy moving kegs on the pallets. It's about 130 kegs a day.
Yeah.
An 8-hour shift.
What are your percentage of kegs versus bottles?
I'm not quite sure.
It's
Actually,
probably
I mean, it's exponentially more in the bottles.
more in the bottle because you're selling it all over.
Exactly.
You export it even into Japan
26
or
countries.
something, don't you? 26
We're at
countries
26
now. Wow. For when we were here last, I think it was basically Japan.
Yeah, we do 26 countries now. A lot of Asia, Australia, Europe, South America, Mexico, Canada. It's all 50 states.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. We did about 83,000 barrels last year. About 2.6 million gallons.
So what do you consider yourself then? You're more than a microbrewery.
Craft.
You're a craft beer.
Yeah, to be considered a microbrewery, you have to do less than 15,000 barrels a year.
Right.
So we're just a craft brewery.
Yeah, craft brewery.
This is the boxing we use. This is our packaging. A couple distinct styles of packaging. We have our Rogue Nation Join Us brown boxes, which a lot of stuff is in. We have the boxes, and this is the same guy on a lot of the boxes on the American Amber or St. Rogue Red over there. What that actually is, that's Uncle Sam. It's that red pollution thing that we,
that is,
started
yeah.
out very early in the morning, very early in the company, and I kind of kept him as a mascot.
Now you're paying Uncle Sam the taxes, don't
Exactly.
you? But we'll have to pay taxes or we won't have a country like this.
Exactly.
Some people don't want to pay taxes. We went to work in the Philippines. They don't pay taxes. But if you want to go for dinner and you have any money, you have to have armed guards.
Yeah.
Or they'll kidnap you for ransom.
Yeah.
And rich people don't even want to stay there.
Yeah.
They fly to Hawaii or someplace in their jets and get the hell out of there.
For sure.
And we don't want a country like that.
Definitely not.
So I don't mind paying my taxes. I mean, nobody really loves it, but we have to do it.
We also have a couple specialty beers that we do with people. This is Iron Chef Morimoto. He was opening up a restaurant in Pennsylvania and wanted to do something like pairing the beer with food, and came out and really loved our company and got together with John and kind of came up with some ideas. We do a soba ale, which is actually a buckwheat ale. We do the black soba, which is a black buckwheat, and we do an imperial pilsner.
So what is the characteristics of that Morimoto? I saw that name.
He's the Iron Chef from the
from
the Japan show.
Yes, I've seen him. But what kind of beer is it?
It's a buckwheat ale.
A buckwheat.
Yeah.
He likes probably a fairly moderate, easy beer that a lot of people can drink.
Exactly. Very, very easy.
I mean, if you're a Budweiser drinker, you can still drink the wheat.
Exactly.
But you had 3 different kinds.
Yeah, the buckwheat, the black buckwheat, black soba, and then we have an imperial pilsner, which is like a 9% pilsner.
Yeah, so you got for people that like the high octane.
Exactly.
So like one of these cases, would they have all 3? Or
No,
they're all bottled.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all
bottled. That's
packaged.
just going to be the soba.
Okay,
Yeah,
soba. Okay, soba. Okay.
Well, pretty impressive. You guys have really grown.
Yeah, we have.
We've sort of watched over the years. Another brewery I watched over the years was what's the lake over in Redmond? What do you call it? Cascade Lakes. It was started by 3 engineers. And I'm an engineer. But engineers are good at building things, but then they're not good at follow through, like marketing, doing the everyday work. So one by one they dropped out, and then they sold it to a guy that was a marketer and another guy that was a beer maker, and they make a pretty good beer. But the way they market their beer, it seems to me that I've seen, is through little pubs that they start. And like in Redmond, you can hardly get into their pub on a warm day. It's just like there are just lots of people in there.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was kind of interesting, the whole process. And they did basically what you guys did, even to a more extent, going out to the farms and getting the stainless steel, creamery things and stuff.
When they first started.
When they made good beer. but they just, you know, it's a lot of work. People
Oh, yeah,
don't realize
for sure.
how much work it is making beer, you know.
Exactly.
So, okay,
And I
well,
think they were brothers in the
they were all
involved
brothers.
in it too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and the
they-
parents bought the, like in an industrial type building where they could set it up. And then they rented it from their parents, the building. But they didn't stay with it. But they got it going.
Yeah, they got it going and
Yeah.
probably made some
They
money
probably
on
made
it,
some money.
you
They
know?
probably sold it and
Yeah.
done a profit. It was all ready to go for people that knew how to market
Once they
it
got it built and the way they
and that
wanted
wanted to be brewers, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I watch a lot of these little breweries go. Well, I think we've probably seen it, huh,
You
Dan?
have, this is it.
Hey, well, we appreciated the tour.
Yeah.
We'd never had it
Well,
before.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did. Because I want to keep learning.
Of course, yeah.
You're never too old to learn new things.
Never.
So I've learned new stuff here. Every brewery I go to, I learn something new.
Always. It's the fun.
That's the hobby. But being an engineer, I'll probably make about 3 batches and get tired of it, you know. Tear it all apart and start over again. You know? Because building it and thinking about it is the fun part.
Of course.
For an engineer. But yeah, I had people at one time were going to back me up to start a brewery, but it was way back in, you know, about the time you guys were starting, and about and a lot of breweries just didn't make it.
I know. Yeah.
Because there were too many Bud Light drinkers.
That no one wanted to change.
And I was afraid of that. I says, hey, you know, I know a lot of people. Well, first, I know people that won't even drink a beer, and then a lot of people were drinking Bud Light and stuff. I said, I don't know if you can,
I know.
if this is going to be a sustainable. But I've just been amazed now at how the you know, like
growing.
Sierra Nevada is growing, and
They're huge.
like
Yeah, we toured them last winter for the first time.
and Stone Brewery and
Stone down in San Marcos. Or no, they're in actually Escondido's the address now.
Escondido, yeah.
But
Yeah, there are a lot of people getting big now.
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada's a big.
And you can see they put a lot of money in there. In fact, I have a friend, his daughter married an artist, and he spent an entire year doing
the
murals on the walls, kind of in the 3D things. He's worldwide known, and he's really, but a year, and they don't work for nothing. And so, I mean, there's got to be money to pay a guy to do that, you know.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like a palace, you know, the whole brewery, you know. It's like, well, one of these days, you guys will probably want to do that.
We like the rustic.
I'd stay right where you are.
We like the rustic.
And not only that, but hey, you don't need all that to make a good beer.
No, not at all.
You got everything you need to make a good beer.
We do.
And we like your restaurant upstairs too. Good food. That's the one thing. If I have a brew pub, you've got to have good food.
Of course.
Because you can have the best beer in the world, but if your food's lousy, people won't come.
I know.
Well, thanks a lot, Dan.
No problem.
We're going to go to the thing tonight, the fundraiser.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so
enjoy
told
it.
us about it. So we were going to go on, then we said, oh, we'll stay here overnight. And then we're coming back for the sale tomorrow.
Nice.
Buy a few cases of beer at a discount, and we like the T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff too.
Wonderful.
So, well, thanks a lot
No problem.
for the tour.
Let me grab your glasses from you. I'll take
Oh
those.
yeah. I can always use another pair of safety glasses.
Exactly. It's a wonderful night.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
So, you ready for home? Okay. Did you enjoy that? And the beer? Okay.
We're adding, depending on what the recipe is, we'll add our hops.
Oh, okay.
So hops are like a spice in beer. And
Now your hops, you start with the hops and put it in at different times during the boil?
yeah, it depends on the recipe.
Bittering hops first, and
Flavoring
and then,
next, and then
your aroma hops
yeah.
near the end.
At the end, right? Almost for us, it's pretty much right at the end of boil.
As soon as it's finished, you throw them
we
in
just
there.
throw them in there. And
Well, that's what I like your
whirlpool.
IPAs. the nose. I smelt the hops, and I love
and
the
then on the
smell.
IPA, what we'll do after primary fermentation is done, we throw more hops on top of that into the fermenter.
Oh, in the fermenter?
Yeah, it was called dry hopping.
So you dry hop it.
So that gives it that bang and aroma on the our IPA.
Now I'm growing Mount Hood hops in my backyard. We're from Federal Way. And they smell so good.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make some in the fall and wet hop it.
There you go. Yeah, that's what we do. We do that with
we do a
Sterling
wet hop beer.
hops.
With Sterling.
Because that's what we can get locally.
But how do you rate the Mount Hood? Because
Well, we use Mount Hood in our Kawanda.
We do,
I saw that.
Yeah.
And so is that your
we do a
aroma
lot of
hops?
a lot of well, what's the other one?
That's the only hop in it, actually.
I think
we hop the whole batch at flame out.
Yeah.
So the bittering and everything.
And
with the Mount Hood.
Brewery has hood in it too at the end.
Well, that's what I'll be doing because I grow so many of them that, and I make so little beer that I.
And actually, what we do, which you might be able to, are you all grain brewing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a mash.
I got a crusher, a mash. Yeah, I got the whole thing.
Excellent. So what we do.
Everything's gravity flow though. I don't have any
Since
pumps.
you're wet hopping it, if you have a ton of them.
What's that?
Since you have a ton of them, if you're going to wet hop it, don't just add them in the kettle. Clean your mash tun out really well before it's done boiling. Load the whole thing up with hops. Run it from the kettle over your mash tun and drain it out, so it'll be like a super dry, almost a dry hop. Just massive amount. That's what we do with our.
Say that again.
Sterling. So basically, what we do is so we boil with our wet hops. Boil it. We empty this thing out of all the grain. We load it up to like.
Oh, okay. So then you run the beer back through that and through the hops.
Basically.
Oh, good idea.
But with the gravity system, your kettle's probably down here,
Yeah.
and your mash is here, so you'd have to somehow get it back up there.
Well, I have a deck and I start with the hot water.
Yeah.
I've stole a few shopping carts, my hot water's up above. And then my mash tin's down below. I know. No, I found them. I mean, they were rusty. I pulled them out of the lake, some of them. But I can wheel stuff around, instead of carrying them.
Yeah.
But then, and then to boil, I go over the edge of the deck. Then I got another shopping cart below. I put it in my fermenter and wheel it into my room to maintain my temperature.
Sounds like a good setup.
What's going to be?
He's the engineer and engineers. So
the engineers like to do that sort of thing. The making of the beer is not as important.
It's the process.
The process.
Can you tell he's an engineer too?
So what we use once our boil is all done here, and we've done our hop additions, that's usually about a 90-minute boil on that. Well, we have to transfer this to one of these fermenters that we've pre-cleaned and sanitized.
Okay.
And then we usually have our yeast sitting on the bottom of the cone because we've transferred from another recently brewed batch.
Oh, you just keep
cone to cone transfer.
Sure, yes.
We have two ways to do it. That's one way. The other way is injecting it as we're knocking out or transferring.
with the liquid yeast. And,
We'll collect it into kegs, collect the slurry.
So we cool it down with a plate heat exchanger with water, and then the second heat exchanger we use is this one, which is a food grade glycol chiller.
Mhm.
So we'll get
Excuse
we'll get it down to our fermentation temperature, which I like to knock out about 64 degrees, and we run these guys typically run at 66. So and then this is all. It's got a carved stone here that we actually use for an oxygenation on the wort. We want to put oxygen in the wort at that point because that promotes yeast health.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that's directed to one of these, either a single batch if we're doing one of these, and doing one of these four, or if it's a double brew, we'll be going into one of these big guys over here, which is 30 barrels. These are 15s and these are 30. So with those, we have to brew twice to fill it up.
Yeah.
So then we let fermentation do its thing, and everything pretty much here is all crashed, so we're done fermentation. This one's in its final stages. So this is the blow-off hose, and this is a batch of McPelican. It's still gassing off a little bit of CO2, still producing a little CO2, and we'll check these daily on gravity until they basically stabilize.
Uh-huh.
Then we give it several more days to what we call condition, get rid of the sulfur and what's called the DMS and this.
You siphon the yeast off the bottom then when you're.
Well,
doing
yeah.
that?
What we'll do then is now that this brew is done next week, the yeast doesn't have anything more to eat, so it starts settling in the cone. That's why they have cones on them. And then we can take from the bottom valve through a sanding loop, we can move that yeast to another cone of a recently cleaned and sanitized fermenter for another brew next week. And that's what we'll do. We'll use this yeast for the next brew.
Oh, so you just leave the yeast in the bottom then, and
You do to a point. You don't want to leave it in there too long because it'll start to die or autolyze, and then that gives it real bad. It starts to give off those bad flavors to the beer. So you either use it or you get rid of it. Because if we don't use the yeast, or sometimes we'll have more yeast than we can use. We'll just dump it to a bin, and then that goes off to a local dairy farm. He takes the spent grain that we get out of the mash tun, and then our liquid waste as well. So typically it takes about 10 days to ferment in the condition, and then we'll clarify the beer by putting an external pump loop on it and injecting gelatin, and that helps to pull out additional yeast, clarify it.
but you still have yeast in your beer, live yeast, don't you?
Not much, because we filter most of our
filter it
beers,
out,
except for
filter
our
it out.
stout. We filter with this machine over here. Those diatomaceous earth.
I used to use that when I had a swimming pool.
I've been told that by many people.
I know, it was diatomaceous. It looked just about like that.
It's really a wine filter is what it is, but a lot of little breweries use it for beer filters.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear it. I just.
There's a bunch of plates in there.
This is the second time I've heard it, used.
So we preload it with a mixture. We use diatomaceous earth and perlite blend. And then this is a dosing tank. So as the beer is being processed through this machine, it's injecting little bits, that slurry, into it and building up that filter bed, and pulling the yeast out in what's called the chill haze out of the beer. And then it goes into, if it's one of these big guys, it usually goes into this tank here, which is a bright beer tank. We have our IPA in there, or if it's one of the small tanks, we'll put it in what's called a serving tank, so it doesn't have the jacket on it, but the room is kept full. Interruptions. I forgive you, Joe. So they go into these guys, and so our single batches end up here. These directly connect to the bar. So their tap, that hose coming off the bottom goes right out to the bar tap.
So you keep that at about
that's about 40, about 46, 45 degrees, 40, somewhere
it's
around
the right
there.
temperature for drinking.
It typically runs, actually it's around about
You sell
36 to 40.
Sell most of your own beer here, or?
Well, when I first started here 6 years ago, that was what we did. And now we're doing more and more bottling and distributing our beer in grocery stores.
No.
And we self-distribute.
I knew you were, but not too many grocery stores though.
Well,
in Oregon.
Market of Choice and Ross are pretty common ones. I don't know where they are. A lot of bottle shops in Portland. Not much, nothing. Oh, one shop in Washington, which is what's called Buy the Bottle out of Vancouver. They just started in that one like a month ago. So I think Washington has different rules in Oregon.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
So every state is.
Yeah.
When it comes to
I know.
alcohol,
That's why a lot of people just stay right in one state,
So
toughen up.
we like to, at least we want to make sure that the beer primarily is in Oregon.
Yeah.
So our
Well, you guys are well known in the beer world.
In Oregon, did you say?
There's Ross, there's Market of Choice.
One's in Eugene, right? That you
Yeah,
said
there's
that one?
some Beer Stein
Whole Foods.
out of Eugene.
Albertsons.
Oh, Albertsons.
A couple of them, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're
Buy
not,
the
not
bottle
as
in
far
Vancouver.
north as you know, up in Federal Way, but in Vancouver, Washington.
As far as...
We're as far north as Vancouver, Washington.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that buy the bottle in
Federal
Tony.
Way.
Yeah.
There is one in Federal Way called 99 bottles.
Yeah.
That's a great
I don't
deal.
think.
Oh, yeah, they
I don't
sell
think
a
I don't think
bunch
we've
of
gotten
different
into them
beers.
yet, but maybe we will.
Well,
There is a little.
they've got a heck of a variety of
Yeah, they
beer.
do have a
We went there once for
They-
like their beer tasting thing, you know.
They built that place after I used to live in Federal Way. So
Oh,
they,
really?
they built that place after I left.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I think it's an old.
We know where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah, it's in that Crossing Shopping Center
It wa-
across from Costco.
You
Yeah.
use the same yeast then for all your beers?
Well, for all the core beers we do, and then the only strain we use is for our Belgian series beers.
Use the Belgian yeast,
and our one of our seasonals, which used to be called Hefeweizen, and then now we're changing it because it's a Belgian wit beer.
Belgian wit, yeah.
But the
I haven't quite developed a taste for the Belgian beers yet.
It's
But-
all a little different.
Although I've tasted some pretty good stuff, but
So they go into different bottles because the pressures, we add more yeast and sugar after the fermentation,
Okay.
and then that gets corked, and
so you need a champagne bottle.
Yeah, basically, these are all conditioning right now. This is our Grand Cru.
Yeah, we saw that.
And then we need to, once they're done, we'll be labeling.
So
and
you
foiling.
condition them in the bottle.
Yeah, that gives
So
it
if I wanted to steal your yeast, I could buy a bottle of that and take it home.
Well, no, because a lot
You
of the
filtered it out. I know.
a lot of
I'm
the
just checking
a lot
them
of the
out.
bottle condition. What we use for bottle conditioning is a champagne yeast.
Yeah.
So but our standard house yeast is 1056. You can get it out of Y yeast. And
Yeah,
it's real common.
1056,
It's real
yeah, it's a-
common.
Yeah,
It's really
here's
easy
the
to
number.
work with too. That's what I like. This is not an easy yeast to work
Yeah,
with.
no, I need easy. I need easy.
1056 is a great yeast.
I don't want to go wrong.
That's what we use for all our core beers, Kawanda, McPelican.
You know, I like that Kawanda a lot too.
Yeah, that's.
I like the Kawanda. I like the IPA. I like because I can smell the hops in it.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. And so our bottling machine is.
There's only about one other beer I know of that I can really smell the hops like that.
Yeah, we're kind of special that way. We don't put a lot of attention into that. This is our bottling machine. We'll roll this out into the center of the room, and we essentially all our bottles come pre-labeled. So these are all silk screened and fired. And that nice thing about that is
You can use them over and over.
well, they come in the box upside down, so they're sanitized. We don't have to sanitize them.
Oh,
You
okay,
just
that's
drop them
nice.
on and there they go. And
What do they sanitize it with, you know?
just to heat.
Oh,
So
they're
because of
hot.
because of the heat of the.
And then they
to
turn
cure
them
it- to
upside-
cure this paint.
Yeah, okay.
And then they upside down, so.
And they're ready to
The
go.
only disadvantage is that if I want a bottle of Kawanda and all I've got are stout bottles, I'm in trouble. So we gotta
Yeah,
keep them
yeah.
all in stock. This will do about 60 cases an hour. And so again, we've been doing more and more of this because of so we used to do like 150 case runs, and now we're doing probably closer to 300 case runs right now, and we want to even get, do more. So we're right now trying to figure out how we're going to do all this right here, and eventually
Well, you're the engineer, right? You got to figure it out.
Well, I'm just one little part of it.
What kind of engineering were you in?
I'm chemical.
Chemical.
What are
Okay,
you?
well, civil, but.
Civil, okay.
But I did a lot of electrical. I've done mechanical.
Yeah, once you understand one discipline, it's not
It's
too
pretty
hard to jump
easy.
to the other.
Yeah, I got into electrical because nobody else wanted to touch it. People were like, I don't want to get anywhere near
Well, I
them.
can understand that.
I worked for FAAs where I retired, and the airport lighting is so different, and it's very dangerous. There's 5,000 volts in those systems. So if you don't know what you're doing, you want to keep your hands in your pockets and stay away from it.
I can see that.
I had a close call, but I didn't get zots, but I assumed something that, it was not right. We had the runway identifier lights on, and they're usually hooked into the circuits of the lighting, and the lighting was off, so I figured, but they had run separate 220 or 240 power out to those. I didn't know until I was fiddling around with it, and then along come the electrician. He says, you know, there's 240 votes to that. I go, wow, really? So I made a wrong assumption, but I didn't get Zots, but
Yeah, that's,
you gotta
yeah,
be
I
careful.
prefer to.
Well, I'm gonna.
I do my own wiring at home.
Hey, let me ask you something. The hops that I've had hops from 3 years ago, and I threw them in the freezer. I didn't dry. Oh, I dried them a little, but you know, I could still see some moisture, some perspiration, but then it's all froze. Do you think I can use that for bittering?
Well, yeah, 3 years ago, that's quite what you did the right thing by freezing them.
Yeah.
They might be. You want to smell them and see
if you can get that.
If because sometimes older hops, usually when they're exposed to. See, when we freeze our hops, we of course most of our pellets freeze, but we'll.
So they're dry.
We'll take CO2 and back flush them, get the air out of them, and because what happens is hops oxidize and they get cheesy smelling.
Yeah, and they turn brownish too.
Yeah, well, if the aroma isn't right, they probably don't use them. But if the aroma smells fine to you, then
that's what I'll.
3 years is kind of
on the borderline.
A lot of them come vacuum packed, so
that's a lot different.
All the air is gone.
And you can keep those probably for
we keep them
a long time.
Quite a while. We process through a lot of hops, so we keep all our hops cold, and that's a good idea. It's I think it's better to dry them, and then if you can purge them with something.
That's a good.
Or even vacuum pack.
I have CO2 set up because I keg my beer, so I could.
We just blow it in there for a couple minutes, and then roll them down onto it, and seal it up, and just keep them cold, and they'll keep for a while.
I'll do that next time I pick because I'll flush them out.
Yeah, flush them out, or I know people that vacuum pack them too. So,
I don't have that, but I mean, you can get them for $100 a vacuum packer, I guess.
So anyway, that's pretty much everything.
Hey, as an engineer, you'd be interested. One of the breweries I've watched for over the years was Cascade Lakes Brewery over in Redmond.
Area.
It started by 3 engineers.
Oh, okay.
But one by one, they kind of lost interest or dropped out.
Yeah.
And then they sold it to a guy that was a marketing guy and a guy that was a beer maker. And their method of marketing their beer is kind of similar to yours. They have a big brew club right there in Redmond, and they're always busy. I mean, just like you guys are. And then they start other brew pubs, and they sell it. They're marketing it through their own club. But they make quite a good beer.
Yeah, I've had some of their stuff.
We were down at Firestone Walker, and they make good beers.
Yeah, Brent.
They're expanding quite a bit.
Yeah, he does that.
Hassel.
He uses that union system, that Burton union system, which is like the only one in the country. It's the old traditional British style. He figured it out. Matt Brendleton is the head brewer. He's quite well known.
He's built about like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got. I think I've seen him on Beer podcast.
Yeah, he makes some amazing beers.
Yeah, and they make a beer. They make one of the best beers they make is not under their name. It's the Trader Joe's Mission Street. And what I like about their IPA, same as your beer, you can smell the hops.
That's an IPA, huh?
Yes.
Trader Joe's.
They have two.
Well, they have two. They also have a pale. Their pale
Never
from
had
Mission
that.
Street is very good.
And Jumping Cow, which has been around Trader Joe's
didn't realize that.
forever, is out of Firestone Walker.
Yeah, but they make that Mission Street.
I didn't know that.
And because I was looking at the label, I says, hey, this is made in Paso Robles. And that's funny because one of my other favorite breweries is, Firestone Walker.
That's the only brewery I've touched.
But they make it for Trader Joe's in the same brewery.
I knew they had some good beer there. I never really paid much
Well,
attention where it came from.
go to Trader Joe's, buy their Mission Street. It's very similar to your IPA. Yeah.
And so
It's not bad. Well, I think it's good but then I'm a nose guy, I like to smell the hops.
The only other IPA that I think comes close to ours is, that I know of, is Anderson Valley's Hop Bottom, it's called.
We almost went there.
If you ever get a chance, they bottle it, and I've seen it on tap in places. Hop Bottom is real close to ours. It's got that huge aroma on it.
Yeah. We were going to go down there because we came up the coast I stopped at Russian River, you know, where they make the Piney D Elder.
Oh yeah, we have a connection
Jenny's
down here.
sister lives here.
Huh?
A little wine shop down here.
Oh, they sell it there?
Okay.
It's his sister.
Yeah, they're,
It's the neat thing there. We hit it at happy hour. It was $3.50 a pint for that stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, the bar was filled.
But they thought they weren't busy. It was Monday.
They said it
Monday
wasn't
night.
very busy, but
They said it was slow, you know. But
there weren't any seats left over, so I don't know what it is on a full day.
it'd be busy for us.
But-
You
yeah.
can get their bottles down here at Twist. You know,
Yeah.
Well, it's good. But it's no better than, you know, you got a good IPA. It's no better than that.
Well,
But
I'll go down there and have that for something different.
but the beer they have that I've never tasted is what they call Piney D Younger.
Oh, it's hard to find that.
Well,
They
they don't.
only
They
do
just
it
serve
so
it in little
often.
teeny things, and when they have it, there's a line. People, they usually buy it.
Yeah, we had it here.
We
had
get it
here.
every year.
Do ya?
It's because Shannon has that connection.
But it's got a real high alcohol content.
Yeah,
I'd say.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Now, what are your alcohol contents roughly run?
Well, I just usually round it to the nearest 0.5%. Our stout and our IPA run about 7.5%, is I think is the spec is. Sometimes it go up to 8.
Yeah, the
It's
IPA
right around there. The Dory's around 6. The Kiwanda's about 5.5, and the McPee's just under 5.
The who? The
Pelican Scottish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's our
Oh,
light- it's
yeah.
our lowest alcohol
Yeah.
beer. Is,
Which was very good, by the way.
yeah,
But that's why it's Scottish.
yeah.
You don't want it too high of alcohol.
So
Yeah.
it's
Well, we really enjoyed you.
Yeah.
We bought the samplers so we could taste them all.
yeah,
and
that's what I always suggest.
Had a
If nobody
scent.
isn't familiar with our beers, they try to sample and you'll get the seasonal, whatever.
And then you yeah.
ESB, I think it's-
Well,
now
oh,
it's
hey,
really good.
gotta ask you.
I like the ESB.
What is it? The ginger
Oh, the
root?
ginger.
Oh, we just put that on.
That's really good.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
That's
that
those
was
guys'
dessert.
creation. I said, well, we ran out of root beer extract since we're waiting for that. So we had these samplers and stuff. I said, well, let's make ginger beer, okay, or ginger soda, okay. So that said, wasn't strong enough. So they took some ginger root from the kitchen and threw it in there for a little while to soak it.
It was good.
All right.
It was excellent.
Okay, cool.
Stay with that.
That's what
We used it as our little, after we drank all the
that's the word we're
samplers,
hearing. Is it
that
pretty
was
good?
our dessert beer, you know.
Okay.
was the-
All right.
the shot of the-
Thanks a
Oh,
lot.
yes.
And
Tom,
thanks-
Your name was Tom?
Tom, yeah.
I did remember right. I used to be really
Hey.
good with that, but
I'm
as the
not
older
great.
I get, Linda and Jerry.
Yeah.
Every tour I take, I learn some new stuff, you know.
Okay, well, good. I hope it
Thanks.
helps out on you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll shut this off. I got